Kakadosh, good evening. Kinyan Masechta, Shiur 21. Yeah, 21. Yeah, 21. So it says over here like this. We were first going to do a chazara on that which we spoke about yesterday. So if you remember, 2 days ago, we were speaking about the 3 people that they asked Shelo Kahogen, and 2 of them were answered properly, and 1 of them was answered not properly. Okay, and then we had the Gemara yesterday, which that was the connection to what we had beforehand. And the Gemara says Rabbi Berachya. Rabbi Berachya comes and he says, also Knesset Israel asked Shelo Kahogen, and they were answered Kahogen. What does that mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered them Kahogen. What was the answer in Kahogen? Bnei Israel, Knesset Israel asked that we should have like the matar. What does it mean, the matar? We should have the rain. That means HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be like us to rain. Says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbono shel olam. He says rain sometimes is good and sometimes it's not good. So therefore what? So therefore he comes and he says, really, Be'emet, I'm going to answer them Kahogen. I'm going to be like Tal. Tal is always going to be good. So since Tal is always going to be good, so therefore it's going to be even better. So therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered us Kahogen. Another time when we asked Shelo Kahogen, right? He comes and he says, was to do with, again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and Bnei Yisrael, Knesset Yisrael, we asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Simeni chachotam al libecha, kachotam al zeroecha. So we asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we want that he should be placed, right, like a chotam, like a seal, on our hearts and on our arms. What happened at the end? What happened? Yeah, what happened at the end? He answered us Karaui, that really Be'emet, right? He says, really Be'emet, on the bottom. Yeah? He says, he answered us, right? Why? It says, I'm going to do something that sometimes, if you remember, on your heart and your arm, sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't see it. So therefore, I'm going to do something which you're always going to see on the palm of your hands. Hen al kapayim chakoti. It's going to be on the palm of your hand. That was the chazara of yesterday's daf. And with this, we're on Daled Amud Aleph on the 2 dots on the bottom, 3 lines up. Now continuing with today's new daf in the Kinyan Masechet, and we're going to turn the page. Yeah. So therefore, since we're going to turn the page, so imagine what it's going to be. We're already going to be, right? We're already going to be on Daled Amud Bet. So just so you guys should understand. Says the Gemara, En shoalin et geshamim ela. En shoalin et geshamim ela samuch lageshamim. I'm reading the Mishnah. Yeah, En shoalin et geshamim ela samuch lageshamim. I'm only asking for the rain in the time when it's close. In the time, ignore. In the time which is close to the geshamim. Yeah, says the Gemara, Sevaruha. We thought she'ela ve'askara chadaminta. Here we had a lot of chachamim. So therefore, here we had a lot of chachamim. They said, 1 second, she'ela and askara is 2 different things. She'ela is asking, and askara is laskir, mentioning, right? Mentioning. So that's what we thought. Says the Gemara the opposite. The Mishnah thought that she'ela ve'askara חד המינטאי, של הממשוס. זה בדיוק אותו דבר. The Gemara says, we had a havamina, that the she'ela and askara is exactly the same thing. So therefore, now according to this, man tanas who's the tan of our Mishnah. Because if it tells you now, immediately after the 2 different opinions in the Mishnah, one more time, go to the beginning of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Rabbi Eliezer omer miyom tov rishon shel chag. Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yoshua omer miyom tov acharon shel chag. Yeah, and then you have the how do you call it, the dialogue between, right, Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer. All of a sudden, it says smack in the Mishnah. You remember I told you this. I told you that in the Mishnayot, it's a different Mishnah. You remember, because this has nothing to do with anything. It says en shoalin et geshamim ela samuch legeshamim. All of a sudden, it comes and it says, by the way, you're not going to ask geshamim ela samuch legeshamim. So for what did I tell you guys? I told you guys in another Mishnayot, it was a different Mishnah. In the Mishnayot, it's not in the Gemara. In the Mishnayot, it was another Mishnah, Mishnah Bet. Why? It's nothing to do with the one. What are you talking about now? We're talking about now She'ela b'Brikat HaShanim. Who's talking about Brikat HaShanim? We're talking about at the beginning about Kivudot Geshamim, about Muridatal, Mashiv Murid Geshem. Afterwards, again, Rabbi Yehuda says, Mashiv Murid Geshem. Who's talking about now Sheila? Who's talking about Sheila? So says the Gemara, we thought that Sheila Vaskara is the same name. So now, who's the author of the Mishnah? If I tell you now, En Shalin the Geshamim L'Samuch L'Geshamim. No. Who's the author of the Mishnah? If we say that En Shalin the Geshamim, there's only two people. There's Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua. Right? So if I'm going to tell you now that you're only going to ask for rain, which remembers here She'ela means Haskara. That means the way that we were learning it at the beginning means that She'ela is not mean asking Bibirkat Hashanim. She'ela means mentioning it, just like Mashiv Baruch Hu. So if I told you the words, En Shoalim et Geshamim el Samuch, Rabbi Yoshua, Chazak Baruch. Yeah? He says, Mantana, Amar Rabbi Yoshua. Why? The Amar, but he says, Nishat Anachato. Ribono Shel Olam. Can it be Rabbi Eliezer? It cannot be Rabbi Eliezer, because Rabbi Eliezer said it. So the first day of Yom Tov, the first day of Yom Tov is Samuch Geshamim. Right? Exactly. He said, no. So what are we talking about? Rabbi Yoshua. So therefore, our Mishnah is Rabbi Yoshua. Comes the Gemara. It says specifically. Abaye says, no. Afilu Teimar Rabbi Eliezer. Even if you want, you could say it's Rabbi Eliezer. Why? She'ela lechud v'askara lechud. If you learn it that it's two separate identities, meaning She'ela is one thing and Askara is another thing, so then it could be also like Rabbi Eliezer. And that's Rabbi Eliezer, exactly. So that's the She'ela basically. Okay? So that's the first part of the Gemara. Second part of the Gemara, the Ika de Amre. Now remember, in Gemara, I'm going to teach you a general rule in Gemara. Whenever it says Ika de Amre always means what?
There are those that say.
There are those that say, but what does it mean? It's another version. Meaning there's another version in the Gemara that they don't have the version Sivaruha. We had first, remember, when you have the two dots, so that's the quotation of the Mishnah. So when it says in the three lines up, En Shoalim et Geshamim Chule, right? En Shoalim et Geshamim Chule, that was the quote unquote the Mishnah. Yeah, En Shoalim et Geshamim Ela v'Chule, right? That's quote unquote the Mishnah. The Gemara started by saying Sevaruha, we thought A, B, C, D. Says the Gemara, now Vika Damni, there are those that say that they didn't have as they thought to say, they had it automatically like a question. So what was the question? Lema Rabbi Yoshuahi, right? We're on Dalet Amud, just turn the page. Right? Lema, are you going to tell me that this is like Rabbi Yoshua? That he says from the time that you put down the lulav, that is the time that you're going to start asking Mashiv Baruch Hu Geshem. So therefore, our Mishnah automatically is like Rabbi Yoshua. Amar Rava comes and he says, so beforehand, there was Rava that said that the Mishnah is like Rabbi Yoshua, and Abaye argued on him. Yeah, argued on him. And now, according to the Ika de Amre, it's the exact opposite. Yeah, what's the exact opposite? He comes and he says it's the exact opposite, that it is Rava that's telling us that it's going to be like Rabbi Eliezer. Okay? It's like Rava. Okay? We're doing now the first Chazara on what we just learned right now. We are deciphering the Mishnah. Remember that the Mishnah, right, was what we learned. And then the Gemara, right, is on the Mishnah. So the Gemara quotes the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, En sholim et geshamim chulu, right? And therefore it means you have to go back to the Mishnah. What do we say in the Mishnah? En sholim et geshamim el samuch geshamim. Okay, now, when we saw this, right, at the end, the maskana of the Gemara is going to be, right, that it's lechule alma. It's according to all the opinions. However, though, there's a havamina. A havamina means at the beginning what I thought to say. So therefore, I'm reading now the Mishnah. Now, if you paid attention, the Mishnah never mentioned Beten Talamatar at all. It never mentioned Barech Alenu at all. It never mentioned nothing. What did it only mention? That's the only thing it ever mentioned. So therefore, if I'm now coming in a mindset of Mishnah, and I'm reading, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Eliezer, Siman Klala, no Laskir, Lishol, all of a sudden, right, it comes and it says, yeah, what's going on? So therefore, the Gemara comes and says, one second. When I have these words, I thought that we're all talking about the exact same thing. Nobody changed anything. Nobody brought in v'tintal matar. So therefore, it says sho'alin, same thing. Sho'alin, maskirin, it's the same thing. So therefore, right? If it says here, en sho'alim et geshmim el samuch legeshamim, you're only going to ask for rain, which is mentioned rain. Remember, it's the same thing. Samuch legeshamim, close to the rain time. So according to everybody, when's the rain time? After the Chag. So therefore, it's obviously Rabbi Yoshua and not Rabbi Eliezer, right? So that makes sense. So therefore, says the Gemara, Sevarua, we thought that She'ela ve'askara, right? Chadamintai, it's exact same thing. And therefore, who's the Tana of our Mishnah? Rabbi Yoshua. So Rabbi Yoshua, why he said Mishat Anachato? Says Abaye, ma pitom, what are you talking about? She'ela lechud ve'askara lechud. Ze lo oto davar b'diuk. It has nothing to do with the same thing. She'ela is one thing, askara is the other thing. And therefore, it could be even according to Rabbi Eliezer. So Abaye argues on Rav, and he says it could even be according to Rabbi Eliezer. Some people now they come and they say again. Remember, Ika de Amre are those that say, which means that it's like a new version. Ika de Amre means there's a new version. What's a new version? Nobody thought to say anything. The Gemara, they were sitting down in the Bet Midrash here, right? And I come and I mention this to you, and I say, "En shoalin et geshamim, right? Ela samuch legeshamim, right?" So all of a sudden they come and they say, "So what? Our Mishnah is like Rabbi Yoshua that he says Mishat Anachato." So now it's Rava that answers it, not Abaye. Rava comes and he says, no, even if it could be like Rabbi Eliezer, She'ela lechud ve'askara lechud. Each one is different. And now we're on the two dots on Daled Amud Bet. We're on two dots on Daled Amud Bet.